What if I leave this job and the next one is just as bad? If you are currently unhappy in your career and that is the question that has been plaguing you, it definitely makes sense. Maybe you have already tried to leave a miserable job before. You went to a new company and 2 months in, 4 months in, 6 months into that new job, you were miserable again. Or maybe you're just not seeing any exciting options when you look at job boards right now. So here you are sitting in a draining job, afraid to make a career change, because what's the point if you are just going to end up in the same situation again, right? Feeling unhappy, unfulfilled, bored, and drained in your career. I totally get it, and I think it's a very valid fear. Now, here's what I do need you to hear. While that fear is real, it can also drive you into making the wrong conclusion when you're trying to figure out what is making you unhappy in your career. And when you misdiagnose the problem with your career, you will likely keep trying solutions to fix your career that don't work, which means you will keep ending up in the same place at work where you feel unhappy, bored, miserable, and are underpaid in your career. So in this video, I want to share with you the 3 most common ways that women misdiagnose their career satisfaction, why the solutions they try based on those diagnoses don't work to make them happy in their career again, and how to figure out what's actually making you so drained and unhappy in your career so that you can finally do work that you love. If you are new here, hi, welcome. And if you're a regular viewer, welcome back. I am Dr. Tega. I'm a career coach who helps professional women leave draining jobs that they don't like and land higher paying, more fulfilling careers that they can thrive in by coaching them to clarify their next career move and job search without burning out. Check out the video description below for more details on how we can work together. Let's get into today's video. When you have been unhappy in your career for years and years and years, it is easy to want to just fix it quickly, right? Because you want the misery to stop. You want to feel good about your work again, and you want relief. And what I have noticed over time is that when the pain of being in a miserable job and the different fears you have are driving your decision making, it usually leads to you misdiagnosing the real source of your career dissatisfaction. And it is very, very hard to solve a problem that you have wrongly identified because you're solving the wrong thing. And I've noticed that there are 3 common misdiagnoses that I often see mid-career women make when they are unhappy in their career and are trying to find a more fulfilling career path. So let's talk about those 3 diagnoses so you can see if one of them is a move that you are currently considering or have already tried to fix your career and what you can do differently. The first and most common misdiagnosis is thinking that the company you're in is the problem. This is the one that I see the most often. So you are unhappy at work. When you look around, you decide that the reason that you're unhappy is because of your company. Maybe the culture is toxic. Maybe the management is bad. Maybe you've just been in that company for too long and you feel like you've outgrown the environment and there are no options for you. So you dust off your trusty old resume, you find a new company, you land a new job with a new organization, and for maybe the first few weeks, things feel better, right? Like new environment, new people, you're feeling groovy, fresh start. But then that same feeling starts to creep back in slowly, right? You're feeling bored. You're dreading the workday. You feel like you're not enjoying your work. The company change didn't fix anything. You're in a new environment, but you're still unhappy. I remember that I once worked with a client who had experienced this. So she had been a data coordinator for years, and she had worked at multiple companies in that type of role. In fact, 3 different companies. And every time she made a move and she was unhappy, she assumed the company was the problem. So she would find a new organization or go to a new organization. And when 2 months into her newest role, she was unhappy again, she finally realized that the company probably wasn't the problem. And that's when she came to work with me as her career coach, because she knew that the company could not have been the issue. And I remember her saying after the 3rd career change, she just had to admit to herself that maybe the job itself was the problem. And she was right. The job was the problem. When we worked together, I helped her get clear on who she actually was, what she valued, what kind of work genuinely energized her, and what skills she wanted to keep using in her career. That client ended up pivoting into a health analyst role, a role she didn't even think was possible for her, or that she was qualified for, by the way. But Because we had done the clarity work first, she knew exactly how to position herself, and she landed that job and started thriving in her career again. So am I saying that companies are never problematic? Absolutely not. Just check out all my videos about toxic work environments. There are bad companies out there. What I am saying though, is that it's easy to think the reason you're unhappy is the company when you're being driven by a fear of making the wrong career move. Because changing companies can feel somewhat easier than any other type of career move, because the job is inherently the same and you just need to be doing it in a different environment, so you feel more confident making that kind of move. But if the actual work you're doing is misaligned with who you are, you will be just as unhappy in a new company. The second misdiagnosis is thinking that you have to keep doing roles that match your degree or your certificate to find fulfillment. When you are being driven by a fear of making the wrong career move and you're unhappy in your career, but you still want to find career fulfillment, it's easy to turn to your degree as the solution to your career dissatisfaction. So you start thinking that because you have a degree in a specific area, whether it's psychology, accounting, engineering, whatever it may be, that you can only do work that is aligned with that degree. You tell yourself that because you went to school for something specific, again, math, English, science, whatever, that the work has to match that degree, even though the work has never felt right. You have been working on that track. You have been working with that degree and it has never fulfilled you, but you keep telling yourself that is the solution because, again, your degree feels like a safety net. So what you end up doing is that you end up taking jobs in the same field or that aligned with the same training, but you find that you are constantly dissatisfied, unhappy, and just unsettled in all of those jobs. This isn't happening because any of those jobs are inherently bad or wrong. It's probably happening because you keep using the wrong parameter to decide what role you should do to be happy in your career. Meaning you're using your degree as the yardstick for what kind of work you can do or should do. Meanwhile, the real measuring stick for the kind of work you can or should do is yourself, who you are in this season of your life. It is important to recognize that your degree is simply a credential. It's a piece of paper. It is not a life sentence. Your degree does not determine the path that you can or should take in your career or the path that will fulfill you. Your degree is simply a credential that you secured at a specific point in your life. And chances are you've been using that degree for a length of time now in your career already, and you've already reached the limit of what that degree can give you. Now you are unhappy, you are unfulfilled, and that pathway that is aligned with your degree is no longer the right one for you. So just because you're trying to avoid the fear of making the wrong career move, don't let something that used to work for you in an old season or for an old version of yourself determine what will work for you in your career in the current season of life that you're in or the current version of yourself that exists in the world. The third misdiagnosis is thinking that your job title or the money is the problem. So this misdiagnosis happens when you are unhappy in your career and you decide that the reason that you're unhappy is because you're not being paid enough, you're not being challenged enough in your career right now, or maybe that you don't have enough responsibilities or the right level of responsibilities. And because you're afraid of going somewhere else or making a totally different career pivot or a career move, what you end up doing is you just ask for a promotion at your current job, or you ask for a raise, or you take on new projects or work with a different team in the same company. And there might be like a brief moment where it feels like maybe this is what will fix your career dissatisfaction, but then it doesn't, because again, you're solving for the wrong thing. I remember that I actually worked with a client who had been a teacher for 16 years and she had been feeling unhappy in her career. I think she said for like 8 years. And she kept trying to fix her dissatisfaction within her current organization. So she ended up moving to a different department for a little while. She took on a role in learning and instruction as an instructional coach. She even became a training lead at her school. And every single time she got a new type of role, or I remember saying she just kept getting increased responsibilities to challenge her, she thought that would be the thing that would fix her dissatisfaction. But none of it worked because fundamentally she wasn't unhappy because she didn't have the right fulfillment or enough responsibilities. She was unhappy because she was in a field that was misaligned foundationally with who she was. And so when I ended up working with that client, we took time again to get clear on her values, her interest, her skills. And she discovered that the kind of work that energized her was being outside and being in nature. And she ended up pivoting into a program management role for science, and she was more fulfilled. And I think it's important that I really emphasize this. A promotion is not going to fix your dissatisfaction if you are unhappy in your career. A promotion is simply an opportunity for you to do more work that you don't enjoy at a higher level. Yes, you might get paid more, but you're now just doing more of what you don't like, or you have more responsibility that you don't like, and you're being paid more doing that. And so just like that client I talked about, she had tried getting promotions, she had tried getting more responsibilities. None of it fulfilled her because she was inherently in the wrong space. And when you are afraid of making the wrong move in your career, it is so easy to think that just climbing the ladder is the solution because that is what everybody tells you you're supposed to do. Meanwhile, that just leads to you continuously being unhappy in your career. Now, let me reiterate, I'm not saying that the company couldn't be the problem or that your degree is not helpful. As somebody who has 3 degrees, I do believe in education, or that a promotion might be the wrong move for your career. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying though is that when you default to one of those 3 things as the solution to your career dissatisfaction simply because you are afraid of making a bigger change and having that be the wrong move, that usually just leads to more dissatisfaction because you have not taken the time to really connect with yourself, to understand who you are, which is required for fulfillment in your career. All 3 of the diagnoses that I just shared, the company, the degree, the title, or the money, they all assume that the problem with your career is external, that you are unhappy because of something external, that if you just change something on the outside, change the environment, change the credential, change the level that you're working at, you will finally feel better in your career. But career dissatisfaction is rarely ever an external problem. Again, I said rarely, I didn't say never, but more often than not, career dissatisfaction comes from an inherent misalignment. The work you are doing is foundationally misaligned with who you are as a person. And when you are doing work that does not match who you are as a person, it is legit impossible for you to feel fulfilled and satisfied in your career, because when a job doesn't match your values, you are more likely to feel inauthentic at work, like you can't show up as your full self. When a job doesn't match your interest, you are more likely to feel disengaged, bored, and unmotivated at work constantly. And when you're doing work that doesn't match the skills that you actually enjoy using in your career, you are more likely to feel like you are incompetent when you're doing your job. Fulfilling work has to match all 3 of those things, your values, your interests, and your skills, for you to thrive and feel good doing your job. So if you have been feeling stuck in a job that is draining you, and you have been afraid to make a career change or even make a career pivot because you're worried that the next role or the next move is just going to be as bad as what you're doing now, I want to invite you to reflect on these questions. The last time you made a career move, did you know with real clarity what you were moving toward? Did you know your values, your genuine interests, the skills that actually energize you? Did you know what kind of work you were built for in that season of your life? Or did you know what you were running from? Because running from a bad situation without clarity about what you're running towards or what you desire from your career is exactly how you end up in another job that makes you feel unhappy and dissatisfied in your career. Running from something is never the solution. The fear of the next job being just as bad as the one you're in now is not a reason to stay stuck in a job that is costing you physically, costing you mentally, financially, and even relationally. That fear is simply a sign that the next career move you make needs to be deliberate and driven by clarity and not desperation, right? That you need to actually take your time to figure out and clarify, what do I want in my career? What will make me happy? what will make me fulfilled, not just what am I trying to escape? Because what am I trying to escape doesn't give you a destination. It just gives you a past to where it's so easy to fall back into habitual patterns that get you back in the past, which is how you end up back in another job that you don't enjoy. And if you feel like you're not able to get the answer to that question of what you want in your career, that is exactly what the Peaceful Pivot Guide is created to help you do. I created the Peaceful Pivot Guide as a resource that walks you through the foundational clarity work that you need to do to figure out what roles will actually be fulfilling for you in this season of your life. Specifically with that guide, you will clarify your values, interests, and skills so that you can land in a job that engages and excites you. And when you work through the Peaceful Pivot Guide, I walk you through my 5-step framework to not only get career clarity, but also research your career options, navigate the interview process when making a change, build a resume that markets you for the role, and build relationships you need to land the role without burning out. The Peaceful Pivot Guide is a self-paced resource that guides you through an entire proven framework for making a successful career pivot. If you have been feeling like you're going back and forth on whether you need to make a career move or not, and you don't want to end up in the wrong situation, and you want to make sure your next move really helps you land in a job that you enjoy, I definitely encourage you to check out the guide to get started. It is a $49 resource, and when you grab your copy today, you can begin your journey to leaving that miserable job that has been draining you for years and actually pivot into something you genuinely enjoy and that does not make you unhappy again. You can go to pivotwithpeace.com to learn more and grab your copy of the guide, or you can also just find that link in the description of this video below. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful and it helped you at least think of new ways to navigate that fear of landing in another bad role. And don't forget that if you found this video helpful, you can tap the like and subscribe buttons below. Liking the video signals to YouTube that this video is worth sharing with more people who need to hear this message. And when you subscribe, it ensures that you don't miss future videos from me that can continue to support you in your career change and pivot. And once you tap the like, subscribe, and notify buttons below, don't click away, because watch this. There's another video popping up on the screen right here. I bet you haven't watched that video yet, so tap that video, watch that video so that I can continue to support you in your career.